Hello again, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back again.
Please do subscribe, guys. Both channels, EEARTS, basically that's our primary go-to, and then Evolutionary is going to be a little bit more of a backup channel as we're moving forward. And again, this is all basically, it's kind of up to whatever YouTube wants to do when you get down to it in so many ways. All right, so this one's going to be kind of quick and to the point. You see this from the Nuremberg trial in 1945, Hermann Goering. To the question, how did you convince the German people to accept all this? Meaning, the entirety of WW2 with Germany moving into Poland, and then, of course, the final solution, the solution to the problem, all these people, all those rumors that people are being moved by train to these camps and all this. And, it all turned out to be true. And then there are those that do believe it's distorted. Obviously, history is a story and it's told by the victors, but still, there are things that we can get, if not firsthand info. I do. Remember many conversations with my mom, who passed on. She was born in 1929. She remembers all this very, very clearly, and we were always talking history. And so, she had a fresh memory. Same thing with several aunts of mine, family members that remember all this because they watched it. Just like we're watching Russia and Ukraine right now, but at the same time. What's really going on? I mean, you got to question everything. But the question was, how do you convince the German people to accept all this? He replied, it was easy. It has nothing to do with Nazism. The only thing a government needs to turn people into slaves is fear. If you can find something to scare them, you can make them do anything you want. And of course, the boogeyman. It's always the boogeyman. And we've even had supposedly deathbed confessions by certain people in the military, in the alphabet soups, that have come clean on certain things and have said there's plans out there to make boogeymen of everything from Al-Qaeda, right? I mean, first we had McCarthyism and the communist threat, and now we're back to that. But you had Al-Qaeda, you had the war on terror. There's just been one boogeyman after the other. And, some have even said the ultimate boogeyman is going to be aliens. Mm-hmm. Well, there again, it's always finding something to cause fear and keep people divided, fearing each other. Well, we see here U.S. and Japanese fighter jets carry out drills after the North Korea missile launch, which did look like it was en route to Hawaii. And then, Cindy brought up, she said, do you remember those warnings that we saw? Like, what was that, about 3 years ago, guys? What was 3 years? Was it 4 or was it 3?
3 or 4. It was back there a little ways. But yeah, I mean, they sent out nuclear alerts. Like, take cover.
Yeah, and, shoot, hang on. I got to bring this up.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the most horrifying thing. And I do know my brother-in-law was actually talking to his daughter. My niece was there at the time, and she forwarded him that message, and his jaw just hit the floor. So my family was personally affected by that. It was crazy.
Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek shelter immediately, not a drill. It was January 13th, 2018. It's 4 years ago. And more. My God, time is flying. But then there was also in Florida a warning about zombies. Yes, the zombie apocalypse is happening. There's a zombie attack going on. Remember that one? That was in Florida. You can't make up. We are truly in the apocalypse, guys. I mean, it's anything and everything goes. So U.S. and South Korea fired 4 missiles into the Sea of Japan in a show of force against North Korea. Now, as you see here, this is Gangneung. And I went searching this to see what's going on. And there's nothing here. There's nothing here about what I'm seeing all over Twitter, which is multiple explosions and fire reported at the 18th Fighter Wing in Ganong in South Korea. This is the closest South Korean airbase to the DMZ. And there's multiple. If you just screen down, you can see there's different views, large-scale explosions, detonation of ammunition now being observed. According to the media, it's just an accident, just a training exercise, nothing to be worried about. Just so happens to happen right during or just immediately after those exercises by the U.S. and South Korea, which was just after a ballistic missile flew over Japan, heading straight to Hawaii. Nothing to see, don't worry. This happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, it does.
Yeah, I mean, it's the internet's abuzz with this, and there's nothing on the mainstream media. You know, it's just fascinating. There you can see, there's a boom boom. What's really going on? You know, again, in this situation in this world, we never perhaps even ever truly understand what has happened, because there'll always be the official explanations. Everything else just gets brushed away. Nothing to see here. And you can see this is the area that we're talking about. So, you know, this is another point of contention. We've been watching so closely Ukraine and Russia, and then we think about China and Taiwan, and yet it could be North and South Korea that goes. And I think it is interesting, too, that it was North Korea that shot that ballistic missile, and it wasn't like anybody else. Do you guys remember Jericho? The TV series Jericho? That was a series I watched twice because it was so good, and they just stopped it. And the whole premise of that is we have no clue what's going on because it's been like an EMP, and there's no communication. I think it was in Kansas, in a small little farm town, and nobody knows what's going on. Turns out it was a North Korean EMP that took out everything. And then they never really explained whether Russia and China were on board as well, but I just thought it was very curious. And then, of course, they put it as North Korea in the Red Dawn. Remember the Red Dawn, along with some Latin American countries that were on, let's just say, the communist side of things.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, there's a lot of advertising on what it might be.
And if we look at the tabloids like the Daily Mail, which, of course, you always got to realize they're selling the paper. But, you know, there's many other sources that will talk about these things. Of course, they put maybe a little bit more seasoning on some of their stories. Putin deposed? Russia? Will it be broken up? NATO in a face-off with China? As Ukraine sees a path toward victory and a desperate Vladimir hits the panic button, experts argue this is how don't worry, the world's not going to end. The war could end, and this war is not going to end anytime soon either, unfortunately. You know, so they're talking about everything falling apart. You know, Russia at full retreat, losing the war, and, you know, it's going to end up with Putin deposed, and maybe Russia will be broken up into a whole bunch of different pieces. Maybe China will say, hey, you know, we're allies, but you know what? We need the elbow room. We got 1.4 billion people. We need at least, you know, some of the better areas in Siberia. Yeah. Opportunism has shown its face often throughout history, and many an ally can become an enemy. Remember, too, when you look to World War II, Russia invaded Poland with Nazi Germany. And they had a non-aggression treaty that ended up being broken when, you know, something happened in Hitler's brain, or, you know, he was given the order to start a second front, which made absolutely no sense. And it doomed them to a loss. Yet, at the same time, it wasn't part of the script for them to win at that period in time. But again, Germany, Italy, Japan, the Axis countries, lost World War II. Perhaps the fascist ideal didn't.
Mm-mm.
No. And she looks so extraordinary cute. Sorry, guys, today. She's gotten a lot of sun. We've been like doing a lot of work outdoors and stuff, and she's just glowing. So NATO warns Putin he may test a nuke on Ukraine's borders. And this is what we were talking about earlier. Will he, won't he? Will he, won't he? We shall see. Let us hope not. Let us put our prayers and all of our intensity of intention out there that all this gets stopped before it just, rolls past a breaking point. So anyway, yeah, Biden on the phone with Zelensky. What you need? 500 more million? Let's make it 6.25. Yeah, and again, this money goes to the military-industrial complex. And then the military-industrial complex turns around and ships the weapons out to Ukraine. And, again, we've seen some stats and figures that say, of this 625 million, it might only be 30% that actually makes it there. The rest, who knows? But, again, Afghanistan, look what happened there. This crazy, chaotic world that makes no apparent sense the more we look into it, unless, the intentions of the leadership of the world are not their stated objectives. But then again, they've also told us their objectives openly, and, when in doubt, go check out The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm. And I just can't make any sense of it.
Absolutely. So this Hurricane Ian is probably going to be the deadliest since 1935. Now we're in triple digits. It's going to take a long time to put out the numbers. But when I think back to what we had in Puerto Rico before, it took a year. And, the numbers went from maybe a couple hundred to over 1,000. And it kind of feels like it's going to be one of those. We still don't really know Katrina and Harvey. We really don't. And there's all these rumors that stay rumors until people just forget about them, about, what was happening to people. 4 states are deploying National Guard to the Mexican border with the U.S., and that's not the ones you might be thinking of. New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Kentucky, and Illinois. So all of them very far away from the border. They're all sending National Guard units. But it only amounts to about 500. That's a drop in the bucket. When you're talking about 4 million illegals entering in the last maybe 18 to 24 months, how much ground can 500 people cover? I mean, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the effort, but is it not just kind of a token effort?
Mm-hmm. It is, yep.
And then this weird yellow light seen above Belgorod, Russia. Any guesses what this is? And, some have brought up some sort of laser technology. Some were saying rods from God. Some were saying it's Project Yellow Beam instead of Blue Beam. It's Project Yellow Beam. And I asked Cindy, do you have an impression on this?
Well, instantly you look at it and you see that golden light. It's very, very high vibrational. So I'm definitely leaning toward the high vibrational end of this. It feels more like a being. It feels like it has purpose, and it's looking over this place. So that's what I can tell you.
Well, the golden hue has been thought to be an angelic color. So maybe this is some sort of, come on, don't let your crazy rulers do this. Right. And again, as long as the soldiers carry out the orders, then, they're in control. But there are times in history where we've seen that they've ordered soldiers to do something and the soldiers say no. On a ship you would call that a mutiny. Yes. Well, this world needs to mutiny, guys. It needs to mutiny. And here you see another view of this weird, they're saying orange glow in the skies. I don't know. I mean, I trust Cindy's impressions. To me, it makes me wonder about some sort of technology, but, maybe it's both going on. It's interesting, nonetheless. And experts are warning home buyers of red flags right now because of climbing interest rates, and in some areas, there's still people getting into bidding wars for houses. At the same time, there's a lot more houses coming on the market that people are in desperate need of cash just to pay the heat, to pay the food. I couldn't believe it. What was that? A bag, and not too big bag, of organic apples that just a little while ago, they've been hovering between, I would say, $5 and $6, and now it was $8.98 for a bag of like 5 organic apples. $8.98. It's getting insane out there. Again, they're going to make it so. What they want you to do is eat junk food. Yeah. That's what they want. They don't want you spending the money on organic. They don't want you eating healthy. It's always been that way. The junk food, the dollar menu might still be there. I mean, maybe the dollar menu will be there in 6 months' time. Who knows what you're putting into your body? You really don't know. And, we got the message from the guides a couple of years ago. No fast food ever. And we don't eat fast food. But I have to admit, there were times when I would give in, and this is maybe as little as 5-6 years ago, and every now and then go to Wendy's and get like a Frosty and some of their French fries. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't ever eat any of that imitation meat, and who knows what it is. All the imitation meats out there, when you get down to it, we don't know what's in those things. We have no clue. But when you see natural flavors, that's not good. That's not good. And that makes me think of Wade versus Row Your Boat.
Yay.
If you understand what I'm talking about here. Those natural flavors might not be anything that you want to put in your body. Just, eat things that are real, like apples. Things that are not processed as much as possible. And again, if you are eating meat, then, animals that had a happy life, free range, no steroids. We got to worry about steroids being pumped into them, antibiotics being pumped into them, all sorts of preservatives. When you look at some of those bags of chicken, for instance, and they talk about these solutions they pump into them, things like carrageenan, which cause cancer, all sorts of crazy things. This is a mixed up world that does not have your best interest in mind. So you make sure that, you're taking care of yourself and your family by continuing to educate yourself, like, following this channel and many other channels. Again, Dr. Mindy Pelz is wonderful if you want to learn more into fasting, about fasting and how to detox your body. Thomas DeLauer is good as far as that. If you want to learn more about homesteading, then there's a bunch. The Holler Homestead is great. Sow the Land is great. What's their name over in Missouri? Doug and Stacy are fabulous, and they're totally awake now.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's a lot of good places that you can watch, but if you don't get up and do this work, no one's going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself.
Absolutely. So we send you guys our love and support in every way we could, and we do want to also give thanks back to our Patreons and those that are helping us on Ko-Fi as well. Much love. Stay prepared out there, guys. Namaste.
Namaste.